ABC Sports presentation of World Cup Qualifying 98. Brought to you by Canon. We have the systems that are the solution. MasterCard. MasterCard, the official card of U.S. Soccer, U.S. Youth Soccer, and World Cup 98. Brewery Fresh Budweiser, official beer sponsor of the U.S. national soccer teams. And Nike.
Lineups today in what will be an incredible atmosphere. Costa Rica coming in, having not performed very well on the road.
Got to need a bit of a surprise here. This player, Mauricio Wright, is going to be playing in the backfield for Costa Rica. Probably a sweeper. That may tell us a little bit what the kind of style of play they come up with. They have some surprises in midfield, but also, of course, we can look on the front line for Costa Rica, and we'll see some very talented players. Hernan Medford right here, the veteran, who's the best-known player in Costa Rican history, and Ronald Gomez, their leading scorer so far in the World Cup.
The American lineup today, and as we told you at the top, a change made just moments ago.
Well, first of all, you see Casey Keller, the captain, but look at this surprise here. Thomas Dooley, not a surprise that he's in the game, but where he is really significant. He is taking the place of, yes, Alexi Lalas, who is on the bench today. Quite a shock. The other shock up front, these two players are going to get a start. You heard about the fact that Lasser is going to be replacing Eric Winalda, but Roy Wegerle is a big, big surprise, having been in camp here only 4 days.
Drama in the moments before this kick. Ty Keogh on the field. What about the change in the U.S. lineup?
Seamus, you're very right. Eric Winalda, just 15 minutes ago, a very emotional and tearful reaction as he realized that because of the injuries to his calf muscle as well as groin, that he could not go. He was in conference with Steve Sampson as well as Rudy Grodowski, and he had to hand the jersey over to Roy Lassiter. Back up to you guys.
Okay, this was about 25 minutes ago. As the team position, Bert Mandelbaum consulted, and Eric was pulled from the starting lineup, still available possibly as a substitute. He had groin surgery back July 3rd. Steve Sampson, the head coach of the U.S. side. Clive Charles is assistant. And Sampson's opposite number today, Juan Luis Hernandez Fuertes, the third coach Costa Rica has had this year, and a man who has stirred up international tempests in teapots with some of his words and his very Spartan training regimen for his Costa Rican side.
Well, also seems to be part of the pattern of Costa Rican preparation for World Cups, Bob, because in 1990, when they went to Italy, they also went through 3 World Cup coaches.
Hernandez Fuertes, they're not going to sweat their shirts. I'm going to demand they sweat blood. He has had this team practicing 3 times a day, beginning at dawn. He weighs them in before practice. He weighs them after practice to make sure his players have left perspiration and some effort on the practice pitch. And there's a lot of pressure. Costa Rica has not performed well on the road. In fact, there's been only 1 road victory in the entire CONCACAF phase of qualifying in this final run towards France.
It's going to be interesting to see now if this last-minute change, Bob, upsets the rhythm of the U.S. They had been prepared for Eric out there. Of course, Winalda is a hugely important player for the U.S. Scores lots and lots of goals for them.
U.S. in white. Costa Rica, the Ticos, wearing their red. A broiling atmosphere of pro-American sentiment here at Civic Stadium in Portland. We at ABC Sports would like to thank MasterCard, Anheuser-Busch, Canon, Nike, and National Car Rental for bringing you today's match commercial-free. Casey Keller, the captain today, a bit of a homecoming for him. He played at the University of Portland for Clive Charles. His collegiate coach is also the assistant coach of the U.S. national side. Many American fans wearing white to support Sam's Army and their traditional red. This might be the best atmosphere ever for a U.S. soccer match. This portion of today's match is brought to you by MasterCard, and we are underway. Number 3, Austin Berry. Number 8 getting a touch in there was Dijen. And a free kick now for the U.S.
Yep, handball in there by the referee. But you saw Roy Lassiter take off in that first piece of play. He is certainly charged up. He's so excited to get a start against this Costa Rican team because he played, of course, in Costa Rica in the club leagues, in the leagues down there.
Mike Sorber gets a touch. Marcelo Balboa not with Alexi Lalas paired with him on defense today. U.S. beginning with 3 backs. Thomas Dooley, one of them, number 5. A bit of a surprise starter. As we said, for the first time in 4 years, Alexi Lawless is not starting because of a coach's decision for the United States national side. Sorber, the defensive midfielder, squares it off to Dooley. He's got Agus down the left side in front of him. Claudio Reyna, the playmaker today, looking for Wegerle in the box, knotted out by Paniagua. Deflected there, kept alive. Well, Ramos providing some pressure.
And the U.S. doing what they wanted to do, I think, which is to establish some early dominance. A bit of a foul given away there by Eddie Pope. And also, the other thing they've got to worry about is the counterattack. And you saw the counterattack begin to build up there through Gomez. And they've got some speed, Costa Rica does. The U.S. have to watch that.
Plenty of speed. USA advanced to the final round of qualification back in December with a victory over Costa Rica. That is Hernan Medford, dispossessed by Eddie Pope, fouled by Eddie Pope, free kick Costa Rica from just outside the penalty area now. Hernan Medford, a very dangerous one-on-one player.
A one-on-one player, that's going to be Eddie Pope's assignment all afternoon. That'll be a terrific matchup to watch, Pope and Medford.
Eddie Pope plays for DC United. The winning goal in MLS Cup last year. Austin Berry near the free kick. Three-man U.S. wall at the edge of the area. Right onto Keller.
Well, the wall did its job, Bob. It cut off one of the angles and allowed Keller to be in position to make an easy save.
Well, one skitters all the way back to Eric Lonis. Lonis, the captain, or I should say the keeper today for the Costa Rican side, as Balboa settles that ball. Jeff Vegas, who plays with DC United. Paniagua gets a foot in and a throw in for the United States. The U.S. sitting in third position in this qualifying group. Costa Rica in second place, but the U.S. has a match in hand. They played one less game. Dooley with a long ball, looking for Reyna. Brings it inside. Wegerle with a shot. Lonis takes it off this 5-day-old natural grass surface. The first time ever in World Cup qualifying history, a temporary sodded field put down over artificial turf. Eugene misfires, and it's set wide to Berry. Up to Gomez, a very dangerous player, the number 11 player for the Ticos. This is the U.S. game plan, Seamus. Pressure in the midfield to stop Costa Rica from building quick attacks. Paniagua on the ball. Vegas retreats. Touch there by Wallace to the corner. Dooley gets ahead to keep it away from Medford. Tries to save the corner and does not indeed. So a Ticos corner kick.
So some scrappy play down there by the U.S. Both of these teams look to me to be playing a 3-5-2, about 3 defenders, 5 midfield players, and true front runners. And that's an interesting new setup for, indeed, for Costa Rica that traditionally have played a back four, but this new coach, Hernandez Fuertes, is making a lot of changes.
Berry will take the corner kick. Medford just in front of the goal. Killer is right there. 2 strides off his line. Punting it immediately downfield for Roy Lassiter with Ernie Stewart in support. Paniagua controls it. Madrigal in the midfield. Now the U.S. back on it. Mike Sorber with a chip. Offside. Lassiter offside, and that has been Lassiter's singular problem in trying to get into the flow of the U.S. offense this year.
Yeah, Roy Lassiter has had a problem with offside. He tends to watch the ball a bit too much instead of checking the last defenders to see what position they're in.
But he got the surprise start today when Eric Winalda was pulled from the starting lineup about 20 minutes before kickoff. Luis Marin, number 5, up the side. Vegas taken down from behind and fouled by Roy Myers. Taikio.
Yeah, Seamus mentioned that Costa Rica is set up in a 3-5-2, but in effect, it's only Hernan Medford playing as the point man, number 9, which has allowed Ernie Stewart to move to the right side of midfield, and perhaps may allow Dooley to push into midfield, as Sampson described to us when we spoke to him yesterday.
There has been so much drama, and there's tension felt by Claudio Reyna. But the gamesmanship between these two camps, the security, are there spies in practice? Who has what intelligence on whom? Thomas Dooley getting the start today. There has been a little bit of espionage and charges and counter-charges. It's been a great atmosphere leading up to this match in Portland. A lot of the intrigue of international soccer.
Well, Marcelo Balboa there battling. He's also had a heck of a physical battle with Myers. But Dooley so far has not gone forward very much.
Ernie Stewart with the ball. Lassiter has a tug on his shirt. Stewart comes through. Looking for Wegerle. Gathered in there by Mauricio Wright for 4. And Reyna right back on it. Madrigal gave it away. Lassiter cross, tipped by Lonis. And in front, gathered in by Lonis.
Oh, and a great chance there for Lassiter. And Wegerle had taken up a terrific position, but Lassiter could not get it to him. There you see Dooley very much heading the ball out. They're very much playing the last defender in the center. I haven't seen him take too many rambles into midfield yet, which he has been known to do.
Lassiter on the attack.
Well, a defensive mistake here sets in Lassiter, and he does a nice first touch, gets some space, has a lot of time, but it's cross. I'm not so sure if it was a cross. It looked like he might have been trying to flick it into the far post, but it should have been a cross to Wegerle.
Jeff Agus for Lassiter. I should say for Wegerle. Took a bump from behind, a little bit shaken up. Nice back hitter by Reyna. Onside ball. It's a turn on Medford with Myers in front. Puts it out, corner kick, U.S. Costa Rica. We see their speed, we see their skill, we see their spirit early. Right, the nose for Balboa.
Offside trap by the USA there. Didn't work. They got caught. Pulling up, and the ball was played nicely through for Costa Rica, and they win a corner out of it.
Wallace to take it with his left foot. Put out with a throw-in.
Eddie Pope with a good challenge there.
Mauricio Wright.
Yep, he is the sweeper who comes up for corner kicks, but he's going back now for the throw-in.
Austin Berry to throw it. Medford. Watched by Reyna, now Goose. And a U.S. throw-in. So Costa Rica thwarting the U.S. attack. Sorber plays with Metro Stars in Major League Soccer. There's Eddie Pope. Lee Stewart back from his Dutch team. We play on. Sorber, long ball looking for Wegerle. Down there by Reyna. See Paniagua giving Reyna a little bit of pressure. Claudio turns that ball. He's got Goose to his left and leads into the corner. Wright gets a touch. Pressure from behind on Wallace, who didn't expect Reyna. And Agus with more pressure. And it pays off as Wegerle wins the ball. Reyna's still on it. Again, we play on. Sent inside, but now Guigen with the ball. And a lead up the right side, too far for Wallace. Well, pressure from the U.S. paying off. They won that ball.
We saw the attempt by Costa Rica to get a counterattack going as we see a foul. Very definite foul there. Taken down was Reyna. You got to watch Reyna. It was Paniagua with the foul.
So a U.S. free kick. Kenneth Paniagua commits the foul, and Jeff Agus, who has a booming left foot.
And up there will be Dooley on the far side. This is Tom Dooley over here. Look for him.
Pope's in the middle.
Pope.
Wegerle is back at the top of the arc. Pope's at the 18. Dooley on the far post along with Chilla. Over Pope's head. Loose in front and bounding out for the corner kick as it went off a defender with Lassiter on the far post. Roy Lassiter, who played professionally in Costa Rica, knows these players very well.
Well, I must say the Costa Rican defense looked all in trouble on that particular cross. A great ball in from Reyna. Now here comes the corner with Ramos.
Nodded down and then cleared by Paniagua. This portion of today's match is brought to you commercial-free by Budweiser. In the 11th minute.
Yes, because Tom Dooley had gone forward for that corner. Stewart came back to defend.
Claudio Reyna grew up in New Jersey. Squares it off inside Tom Ramos, another Jersey boy. Wegerle lays it off. Lots of time and space here now. Pope sends it in. Not handled very well by Mauricio Wright at all. And a corner kick.
There's some very definite soft spots in there in the center of the defense.
So an opportunity for the U.S. World Gymnastics Championships coming along tonight. Prime time, 7 Eastern, 6 Central. Ramos deflected by Paniagua. And a nice pitch in his kick to get it out, but the U.S. back on it. Reyna sends it right back to the 18. And the U.S. throw-in. So the pressure from the U.S. in the 12th minute. Marcelo says, nope, we'll let Mike Sorber take the throw in. Now Jeff Egus will take it. Roy Wegerle, a surprise addition to this team, and tackled out by Wallace.
Well, so far the U.S. doing both things that they intended pretty well. That is, they certainly are getting down to the Costa Rican end and look very dangerous, finding gaps in the middle, and they've been able to stop the counterattack. Although it looks dangerous when it's in early stages sometimes.
Lifted but not out, and Ernie Stewart chasing there, along with Ronald Gomez throwing U.S. Stewart will take it immediately back to Thomas Dooley, who's pushed up. Dooley tackled from behind. We play on, or do we? No, it was whistled. Free kick U.S.
They also thought that Costa Rica would be coming in pretty hard and heavy on physical challenges. And we've seen not a great deal of that so far, but they certainly are committed to attack Costa Rica too. They have numbers back there now, but they do attack.
Ramos lifting at far post. Dooley gets ahead to it. Cello challenging. Wegerle tees it up and then lifts it across. Reyna chasing, along with Medford.
This is where Medford is so good. Look at him get out of that trouble nicely, even though he was hemmed in.
Gomez. And he's fouled from behind by Sorber.
That's what a challenging foul in there by Sorber, but the U.S. has got to worry about these wide ability on the far side. See, Sorber's got to come in and close him down quickly. He tries to do that, but he gets Gomez from the back, and that's a free kick.
Handball. Paniagua whistled, and a free kick for the U.S. Pressure on all these players. The U.S. feeling, even with the injury to Winalda, knowing that Winalda coming into this match was a question mark because of his groin. They had as many players match fit in season as they've had this year. Costa Rica, they need at least a point. A draw for them would be a victory. Reyna wins that ball in space with a shot that sails wide. Reyna's game usually distributing, but a shot there.
Well, Hernan Medford, keep an eye on this guy. He's very experienced. He can play in the center, but he can also play tight against the line, which is often not the case for central attackers. He's very good when challenged over the line and getting away from it. That could be a key to their attack.
Pope went down initially challenging that ball. I saw a few players, you see another one, have trouble with their footing. This temporary field might be a little bit slick. Pre-game, I saw a few guys stumble as they tried to make quick, sharp turns on it. Stewart gets a foot from behind to win the ball for the U.S. Costa Rica had a 2-hour workout on this field yesterday. The U.S. just walked out, inspected it, and left for another site for what was supposed to be a secret practice. There were a number of fans on hand to watch. And all the way back to Lonis.
Bob, the field, in fact, is tearing up ever so slightly. For the most part, it's not been a problem, but they watered it quite a bit prior to the game to get it to settle down and to smooth over those seams. So that's some of the slickness you're talking about is probably that moisture.
Balboa puts it out of trouble. Ty Keogh down on the pitch, which was put down on Tuesday over the artificial surface with a cover on top of that. All to take advantage of the intimate atmosphere here in Portland. Jeff Agus.
Jeff Agus playing much more in midfield now, because you see here, these are primarily the three back players for the United States, when this 3-5-2 consists of Dooley, Balboa, and Pope. And although they might have one attacker up there from time to time, as Ty pointed out, they also bring in a surprising second player sometimes from the midfield. Paniagua has made some runs in there, and also Myers. So they're trying to unbalance the U.S. central defense.
Well, Wallace, who is an attacking back with that throw-in. Ball comes back to him. Paniagua challenged, double teamed. Touched by Guijan. There is Medford. Hernan Medford deflected by Balboa for the throw-in.
Well, that's not the guy you want to see get the ball, as we look at Balboa, who made the block, but the mistake by Reyna allowed Medford in, and of all the people on the field you want to make a mistake with, it's Medford in your area.
He can be lethal in the box. You saw Paniagua slip on his footing, which worked to the U.S. advantage there as Keller picks it up.
Keller now has been punting. I think this is about his 5th punt, and they've been fairly unproductive. Usually just won by Costa Rica, as we see just now.
Well, the field is 110 by 70, 110 yards long, 70 yards wide. Free kick for the U.S. in the 17th minute. The match has now settled down a little bit.
Very central now. All the players are gathered in the middle. There's nothing much in the way of width in this particular set play. As you look, you can see over the left, there are no players over here. There are no players over on this side here or on this side, but they're all central.
Reyna is by the ball, so is Sorber. Claudio right on, and Muniz has to put it wide right.
Well, that's why there are no wide players, because you get somebody who can whack it on goal like that, as Claudio Reyna did nicely.
Ramos for the corner kick. Wegerle sprints away from the 6. Dooley and Pope are the players on the 6-yard line for the U.S. Pope gets ahead, off target, but nice attempt.
Now here's a free kick by Reyna. The ball breaks. The guy turns his back on it, and the ball bounces sort of nicely in a way. It didn't bounce as close to the keeper as it might do and create a lot of problems for it, but he did the safety first thing, which was just to parry it away. The ball had a lot of swerve on it.
Medford tangles there with Balboa, comes back to Dooley.
They haven't got, one of the things the U.S. has got to do is they've got to get Ernie Stewart into the game a bit more in terms of an attacking force. He's playing the right side of midfield, but he's had only one run forward. It's all been Reyna's services so far, but they've got to get Ernie Stewart wide with speed.
Flick on by Medford, but nobody there in red, and right back to Dooley. Stewart did not have a good match when the USA played El Salvador, a 1-1 draw back in late June. Dooley with a long ball, looking for Lassiter. He's got Wegerle down the right side, plays it back to Agus, gets Lassiter.
Offside.
And then the flag was up, as I believe Wegerle tried to check back, but did not in time.
Seamus, because Hernan Medford is usually the only forward for Costa Rica, Dooley hasn't gone forward yet, but Jeff Agus has been able to sneak up further along that left side. You already mentioned Ernie Stewart on the right, but Agus also a very accurate crosser of the ball from the left side to create attacks.
That's a good point. Jeff Agus certainly has been an important left-sided force for the United States.
Really emerging in the last 2 years to have a cemented position in this selection.
Now, this is good ball possession by the U.S. They did not give it away under pressure.
There's Eddie Pope. Great positional player. Tom Ramos saw the footing problem again. Long ball right side. Ernie Stewart. He's got Lassiter coming down the middle. Stewart trying to cross, deflected by the defense. Down goes Wegerle behind the play. He's fouled just at the edge of the area. Free kick USA.
Well, they finally got the ball to Ernie Stewart, and you can see what happens when Ernie Stewart gets the ball. Ernie Stewart is going to appear up here on the right. See the run in here. Great run in behind the defense. And now he's just got to touch it across, but the keeper does a good job. Lonis does a good job. And the ensuing play, a free kick for the U.S. Now, here's a great chance for the United States in front of goal here. Even though Eric Winalda is not on the field, and he's so good at this, they have Tab Ramos, and of course they have Claudio Reyna, but it looks like Tab Ramos over the ball.
The wall 10 yards away. Ramos, the yard outside the penalty area, 19 yards away.
Could be a setup for Reyna, though. Let's see there.
Into the wall. The rebound. Stewart will have it. Pope, touched by Wegerle. Ramos. Fouled, another free kick.
Well, they certainly are beginning to foul the USA.
This portion of today's match is brought to you commercial-free by Canon. Ramos and Stewart are near the ball. Lifted by Ramos. Cello with a head put away from Eddie Pope, who had moved up. And a throw-in. Jefegus to Reyna. Goose, two men in the box going far post. Pope with a header over the top.
Well, what a great run by Eddie Pope. The surprise player coming out of the back very often is not marked tightly enough, and he did get away from his man and had a reasonably free header on goal, but just got under the ball and it skied.
Eddie Pope has scored in matches in this round of qualifying against Canada, against Mexico. He said he scored to win MLS Cup for DC United last year. He's a stay-at-home defender. When he has to, he can be an offensive force. Harold Wallace challenged by Agus. Maniagua slips again. Tackled out by Balboa. Throw in from Costa Rica.
Looked like a bit of a gamble taken there by Balboa, but he's so confident. He's playing so well now in MLS with Colorado. At the top of his game.
Maniagua, you saw again Ramos slip. You saw a little problem there with Wallace. You wonder if this footing will be an issue. Substitution possibly being readied on the touchline for Costa Rica. Roy Myers may be coming out as the U.S. on the attack with Claudio Reyna. Now Lassiter wide. Tried to bring it inside. Throw in U.S.
Great run by Reyna. Nice soft pass, but you really wanted to have Jeff Agus running under that because he's got the cultivated left foot. Justine
Campos will be going in, but not at this moment as Goose touches it back to Reyna. Sorber. Where will he go? Squaring it. And Dooley and Stewart there with a little bit of miscommunication, but Dooley has to work very hard to win that ball and get it ahead. Looking for Wegerle. Is that a handball? Yes, yep. And a quick restart.
The other player who needs to come into play for the U.S. is Tab Ramos. He has not seen much of the ball, and he can be a game winner when he gets the ball in dangerous places, particularly one-on-one situations.
Balboa, the last defensive player. So the U.S. patient, in possession. Lassiter chopped down from behind and fouled by Madrigal, or rather by Marin.
Marin looks like he is all over Lassiter. Lassiter, of course, is so dangerous when he turns with speed.
10th foul against Costa Rica.
Yep. You see the reach in there by Marin. He puts his hands up and says, no, not really, ref. Nothing ill intended there.
Just Agus on the free kick.
And once again, Dooley way over in the far side there.
For Balboa, header in front. Lonis is there with Wegerle on the doorstep. Quickly the goalie punt. And Stewart has to go back to collect it. Good opportunity.
Well, I showed you where Dooley was, and just inside him was Balboa, who also comes up for those set pieces. So they have options. And again, beautifully driven left-footed ball by Agus.
25th minute in front of a capacity crowd. This stadium has been sold out for months in Portland, Oregon. Great local support for this match. Fans wearing white to show their support noisemakers, bands, festive atmosphere. Again, the footing is a problem. U.S. still in possession. Sorber, Balboa, as Agus moves up the left side in front of him. There's Wegerle checking back. Reyna looking for Stewart in the box. Wegerle plays it back to Eddie Pope. The U.S. controlling the pace of this game. Costa Rica ever able to mount the counterattack. A bad ball by Stewart. Right on to Hernan Medford. He is 2-on-4, waiting for some support. Pushing it right side for a Wallace and touched back to Keller.
Very good retreating defense, though, by Agus.
Flick-on header by Lassiter, looking for Wegerle. And Mauricio Wright wins the ball. Our referees today, a team of Uruguayan officials, the referee and the 2 referee assistants.
Not a lot of creativity so far in the midfield for Costa Rica.
They missed their playmaker,
That's right.
Wilmer Lopez.
And Solis is not here either. There's a bit of a controversy about him, supposedly injured, but also the new coach tending to send him a message that he's not indispensable.
Gomez with the ball. Balboa tries to clear. Paniagua's on it. He's got Wallace wide right. Paniagua tries to... I don't know that he intended to do that, but he had a player breaking in front. Keller was able to scoop it up. Right with the ball.
Keller's distribution has not been helpful to the team so far, Bob. That throw was not a bad one for Agus, but it was intercepted, and the rest of the punts down the middle have been taken away.
Well, he has the new rule of the game on his mind, the 6-second rule, which the referee today had indicated in a meeting yesterday he would be interpreting slightly differently than what they do where Casey plays in the English Premiership. Basically, if you can play the ball with your hand, the goalie has 6 seconds to distribute it once he gets it. And that is a rule that went into effect worldwide July 1st. Ramos looking for Stewart. The wrong side of Ernie. Ernie Stewart, his team currently in 14th position in the Dutch First Division, but scored a couple of goals already in 3 starts for NAC Breda. Now the substitution will be made, I believe, for Costa Rica. In will come the number 14 player, Justine Campos, and out will come Paniagua.
Paniagua simply hasn't done the job creatively in midfield, but he could be hurt. It's a little bit early to take a player out. They're simply not doing that well. But this coach is a little bit unpredictable, doesn't do the things by the book. And so now he brings in a new player, Campos, and we'll see what he can do in midfield.
Juan Luis Hernandez Fuertes, the coach of Costa Rica, has a reputation as a quick fix artist.
That's true, actually. He does indeed get teams that are in tough shape back into competitive shape, and maybe he thinks this is a quick fix for the team in midfield.
The report is that Paniagua is not injured. I tried to get from the Costa Rican bench whether this was a tactical move. Obviously, they wouldn't let on and tell me anything as far as those lines, but obviously they must have wanted to make an adjustment either because they didn't think he was doing enough or they wanted to try something different.
Taikio down between the benches where the wheels are turning.
Ty, maybe when you get a chance, you might give us a comment or two about all this slipping and sliding. What kind of, are the players not wearing screw-ins and so forth?
Seamus, I asked Steve Sampson, I said, are your players wearing the screw-in boots? He says, well, I did not inspect all of my players' boots. And I said, well, quite a few of them are slipping, and I told him I know what I would be wearing on this type of field. So it could be something that they could take care of at halftime, because obviously the footing is not good enough with the boots they're wearing now.
Dooley tackles away from Medford. You see the good 1-2 play with Stewart, and Pope lifts it out, looking for Lassiter, but Wright plays it wide. And a throw-in for the U.S. Now, the footing has not gotten better through this first half. It may not just be a function of the watering of the field.
Well, there we saw Tom Ramos in just the kind of play we like to see him in. A one-on-one situation by the line. He made the fake beautifully, beat the player, and the player committed a foul. It was Austin Berry over there. So now here's a chance once again for the U.S. to get some players wide. You'll see, again, Balboa coming into your screen here. He's often a target player. He and Julie are jostling here for room.
Ramos with three of his mates in the box. Dooley at the edge of the area. Balboa on the back post. Looking for Balboa. And controlled by Costa Rica. Back on it, Reyna, though, for the U.S. in possession. This portion of today's match is brought to you commercial-free by Nike. Lifted in by Sorbert Colonis. The U.S. has had opportunities. We're still scoreless. World Cup 98 qualifier here in Portland, Oregon, as it's put out by Jeff Vegas. Reminder that ABC Sports is always online. On America Online, the key word, ABC Sports. Wallace challenged there by Reyna. Madrigal back to right. Looking for Medford. Balboa for Reyna. Sorbert. Confident U.S. play in close quarters.
Well, the team is playing nicely together. That there are lots of passing options every time they receive the ball.
Wegerle tackled. And it fouled from behind.
Yeah, that's the kind of pass you're having problems with. The pass from your own half up to the front players, because there's so much congestion in midfield that they're forced to try to go through it and over it. And that's not the kind of play the U.S. generally has been successful at in the past.
Dooley on the back post edge of the box. Collision in the area. Wegerle and his defender go down, just jostling for position. Wegerle and his defender went down, and now tempers begin to flare. We've had no cards yet shown in this match, and no cards from this altercation.
Yeah, this is a low piece of theater, frankly. That's all it is. I mean, there's always jostling. The players did go over. Guillen went over, as did Wegerle. We'll take a look at it.
Madrigal. A little bit of a flick, perhaps, of Wegerle's elbow, but I don't believe it was enough to bring down Madrigal. But it's histrionics and drama going with the intrigue of this run-up to the match, and now the match proper.
Well, I think what you did see, you could see that elbow swing back, indeed. And I think there's no question that Wegerle did do that. He threw the elbow before the trip without any question. But the message you have to ask, the question you have to ask yourself is, what sort of treatment was Wegerle getting before that? I mean, it looked like a retaliation for something else going on at another time of the game.
The change with player Ronald Gomez. He plays professionally in Spain, getting some words from his coach, and Madrigal is up and back at it. Free kick U.S. Dooley and Balboa on the far post. Goose takes it. Out of the area, challenge there, but cleared by Medford. And here comes a Costa Rican counterattack, but Reyna is right there to blunt it. A draw today would be a tactical and moral victory for Costa Rica. The U.S. needs to win at home. That's the formula in world soccer. When you play internationally, win your home matches, draw on the road.
Well, there's a good midfield pressure by the United States. That's what they got to do. They do not want to allow Costa Rica to get up ahead of steam with speedy runs, so you've got to close them down the midfield.
Reyna trying to lead Lassiter. Pressure on Madrigal.
But once again, one player against three up front. Not going to do much with a ball like that. It's got to be a bit more of a patient build-up, particularly for the U.S. changing from one side of the field to the other.
Wallace and Agus. Wallace tackled and fouled. Down is Harold Wallace. Only one road match has been won by any of the CONCACAF. That's the region the U.S. plays in. Any of those teams. Mexico won when it went to El Salvador. The U.S. has lost twice to Costa Rica in the last 10 months.
Well, ask yourself, is Todd Ramos back? I guess he is back if he's totally unafraid to stick his leg in there for that kind of foul.
Comes through for that ball. Offside lead for Lassiter.
Yeah, well, Lassiter again looking over his shoulder. Lassiter looking over his shoulder and losing track of where the defenders are. Here you'll see the ball being played through. Now look at the line. You see he's gone right through there. He went right through the line of that defenders before the ball was released to him.
Reyna pressured by Medford. Dooley on the ball. Agus, who has been drifting between midfield and defense today, coming through to win that ball. The new player, Campos, leads Wallace down the right side. Back to Campos, watched by Reyna. And he dribbled out.
Well, Claudio Reyna is doing a very good job here defending, coming back and filling in that space. He's sort of doing the John Harkes role in many ways, in sort of a way that we didn't fully expect, because we expect to see Claudio Reyna looking to be a passer, but he's being a very good defender.
John Harkes sitting out a yellow card suspension. The usual U.S. captain. Will be speaking with John Harkes at halftime. He is seated in the first row. There's Eric Winalda on the bench. Stewart brings it down in the area. Takes an elbow from right. Ernie Stewart still on the ball. Nice possession. Reyna. A good ball for Ramos. Campos now for Costa Rica. Squares it off. Deflected there by Sorber, nodded ahead, and cleaned out of there by Balboa.
Bob, you mentioned that the field is only 110 by 70, and that was a choice by Steve Sampson because of his respect for the speed of Hernan Medford and the counterattack by Costa Rica. But it's also a situation where maybe it leaves a little bit less space for the U.S. to attack into.
Well, the U.S. likes to take the game wide. You've got speed such as Ernie Stewart's, it's only natural.
Yeah, and when you've got one-on-one skill like Ramos wide, but they haven't been able to get the ball into those situations.
Claudio Reyna. Future is now for this young man. Part of the 22 for the U.S. in 1994. Hamstring problem. He did not play any of the matches. Bitter disappointment. Now looking to play in France, World Cup 98. Roy Myers on the ball. Wallace challenged by Agus. Squared off by Madrigal. This is Luis Marin, number 5. Austin Berry on the left side. Again, you saw Stewart slip. Campos on the ball. Myers inside of him. Patient Costa Rican possession now in a scoreless match. Madrigal, Balboa comes through to win the ball. Medford thought he was fouled.
Well, the crowd taken out of this game at the moment a little bit, Bob, by the fact that Costa Rica is handling whatever the U.S. throws at them. The U.S. has not had a lot of scoring chances, in truth. They've had a lot of possession, and particularly early on, but they need to get a couple of good chances of goal to get this crowd back into it.
Reyna, Lassiter, Eddie Pope gets the touch, so it's kind of settled down at this moment in the 38th minute.
But look at here how Costa Rica's backing off. Nobody's challenging, letting him come right to the halfway mark, and then they put the challenge in. And in fact, we're winning quite a few of those challenges in midfield.
Tackle away Dooley from Medford, and Tom Dooley now holding what appears to be his left knee. It is. He's okay, he says. He says, I got fouled there. Took a stud.
Well, and immediately Jeff Agus kicked the ball out of play to give time for Dooley to be attended to. And then Medford goes over to him in a sportsmanlike gesture. He is the captain, Medford is, to say it was not an intentional high foot the way Dooley thought it was. So defensively, the U.S. has looked solid. They've not allowed Costa Rica the counterattacks, but we didn't come here to watch the U.S. defense. We came here to see attacking play from the U.S., and so far Costa Rica has done their job, which is to frustrate the U.S. in midfield.
Their job to get a point, Costa Rica. The U.S. really needs to win. The mathematics don't dictate that, but the reality really does. They need 3 points today. They have a game today, obviously, then they play Jamaica next month. And 3 of the remaining 5 matches, counting today, are home matches, and that is critical. Here's Myers. And a throw-in.
Yeah, he's tracked down very well by Ernie Stewart.
Gomez on that run, and part of the sellout throng here at the Portland Civic Center. A little bit quiet the last 15 minutes or so. Austin Berry, number 3. Looking for someone to break. Myers tries to break to the ball.
This is a pivotal point in this game. 5 minutes to go in the half. Goal here makes a big difference for either team. Offside. Costa Costa Rica, Bob, feels that it's done the job. It's frustrated the U.S. Now if they could just steal a goal, they feel that they could hold on to it. The United States would love to get the explosive emotion of a goal just before halftime.
U.S. feeling, I think, Seamus, they had all the pieces in place today to really come out and put a show on and get the 3 points.
Yeah, especially given the fact that there are, some players missing from Costa Rica who are important players like Wanchope and Solis, play in the Premiership in England.
Dooley, a long ball for Lassiter. Lassiter continuing to challenge Luis Marin and wins the ball. Deflected out. This portion of today's match is brought to you commercial-free by National Car Rental. U.S. corner kick now. The 4th for the United States.
Now let's see if anybody for the U.S. If anybody comes to the near post. Probably not. See, there's nobody here. Normally that's where Lawless is.
Reyna looking in front. Oh, the scissor attempt by Lassiter. And a throw in for Costa Rica. He scored twice against Costa Rica, Roy Lassiter has. Goals that he has taken a special satisfaction from, having played professionally in that nation.
Well, again, the U.S. looks dangerous on these corner kick situations, and wide free kicks, swinging that ball in. And there's the throw-in goes to the U.S. as it came in and went out again.
Ramos will take it.
Still lots and lots of pushing and shoving going on, with Wegerle trying to get free, and he does get free.
Comes for the ball, returns it to Tap, the crossbar post. Lonis is out, he's got it. With Lassiter in front.
Well, Marin practically had Lassiter's shirt up around his over his head. He was holding him so tightly by the shirt in that crossing situation.
Nice touches by the U.S. there, but now Campos on the ball. Final minutes, first half. We may have some time added on here as it comes now to Reyna. Two-man attack, tries to lead Lassiter. Roy Lassiter lays it back, looking for Ramos. And Agus tried to win that ball. Now it is niftily touched by Wegerle to Sorber. Agus, the ball is behind him. He lost it. Wallace, but it's touched out.
Well, there's a foul by Sorber as they try to play a 1-2. Again, that's the danger for the United States. That quick counterattack down the flank by Costa Rica. And Sorber committed the foul to break it up.
Well, Hernandez Huertas has to be ecstatic with what he's seen so far. Looking for 1 point, praying for 3. His team is able to hold the line against a U.S. team that has looked in sync offensively, just not able to put one in the net. Balboa puts his right foot to it.
Well, the U.S. simply have not been able to get their offensive weapons going that much. Lassiter has worked hard, but he's not really gotten into goal, in front of goal, and he's gotten offside in a couple of key situations. Here's a chance for him now.
Reyna leads Lassiter again, touches the ball, plays it for himself. He's got Stewart cutting down. Ball's behind Stewart and also behind Ramos. Two-men trailing the play.
Well, good support for Lassiter given by those two players coming forward, Stewart and Ramos, and his pass just not accurate enough.
Campos to Austin Berry, the defender moving up. Gomez in the corner, watched by Dooley. Back to Berry. In the box for Gomez, looking to turn and shoot. Gomez still with it. Shot saved by Keller, and he's got it. Did it go out? Corner kick. Casey said, I saved it. Antonio Nieves, our referee said you did not.
Well, he says you saved it, but you also you didn't save it from going out of play. I guess that's what you mean,
yes,
Bob. Yes.
Yes.
Here you'll see the shot coming in. A very good piece of work by Gomez to get free in the first place. With him with a shirt tuck here, goes near post with a shot, but look where the keeper is playing at the near post, knocks it away, does go over the line. So with a minute to go, a dangerous corner kick.
Medford, and a whistle and a push against Costa Rica right in front of Keller's goal line.
Yeah. No question, Gomez caught very much with his hands in the cookie jar there. The referee right in front of the goal spotted it. Referee doing a good job. Uruguayan officials here.
We approach now injury time of the first half. A little bit of time perhaps added on. Dueling, watched by Medford. Stewart comes to win that ball as both sides now at this point perhaps content to take it inside with this scoreline 0-0. Ramos. There's Eddie Pope. Eddie Pope. Eddie Pope. Cross in front. Loose at the spot and put out. Right at the penalty spot, that ball was hanging loose. Now the counterattack. Gomez as Stewart comes back defensively, very alertly to win it.
Great attack by the U.S. there, and the surprise factor was Eddie Pope, who came out of the back. He's done that twice, and they've almost scored as a result.
We are at halftime. USA and Costa Rica in a scoreless qualifier. Taikio.
We're here with Steve Sampson. Steve, how emotionally bad was it for you, the team, and Eric Winalda at the last minute that he couldn't go?
Well, I think we got some great players that can replace him. Certainly we wanted him to play, but he wasn't 100%. And if the player's not 100% playing this game, he can't play. That's just the way it is.
What do you think went well so far for the USA, and what went not so well?
Well, I think we're creating a number of opportunities. We're getting behind. We're using our speed up front. We can change the point of attack much faster. We can play through midfield much faster. We pretty much dominated the entire first half, so I'm fairly pleased.
It seemed like things slowed down a little bit towards the end of the half, though.
It did, but that's natural in a game. There's ebbs and flows in a game. The rhythm changed. You know, the good side about it is that we raised our tempo in the last 5 to 10 minutes of the game. Got the ball wide and created some opportunities, but now we have to be more precise in front of the goal.
Changes for the second half?
Possibly. We might look 10 minutes into the game for maybe Kobe Jones coming in for Ernie on the right, push Ernie up top, and bring Wegerle off the field. We'll see how his fitness lasts.
We'll be looking for that. Thank you, Steve. Good luck in the second half. Back up to you, Bob.
All right, so we have an idea of what to expect early in the second half for the USA. Chances, but no goals at a sold-out Portland Civic Stadium. World Cup qualifying on ABC Sports. Get ready for the Saturday night specials coming to ABC. First, Eric Roberts leads the team of C-16. This is not your father's FBI. Then from producer Stephen Bochco, Jim Belushi and James Remar star in Total Security. And all new episodes of The Practice with Dylan McDermott. Now you've got a good reason to stay home Saturday nights. And it starts later this month on ABC. United States and Costa Rica scoreless at the half after 45 minutes. And perhaps, Seamus, the best opportunity for the U.S., one of their back players moved up.
Well, it was certainly good to see this run by Agus, but keep an eye on the middle here, because this is where Pope comes from. With all the other players marked up, he comes crashing through in the air, gets a good header on goal, but it's just not accurate enough.
Well, we heard Steve Sampson talk about possible substitutions he might make early in the second half. If he pushes Ernie Stewart up front, perhaps either Wegerle or Lassiter would have to come off. The footing could be a factor. There are so many factors in play for this game as we look at the second half.
Well, he's talking about speed. He's talking about bringing on Kobe Jones. He thinks he's really got to make Costa Rica worry about the United States speed, which means that they will keep players back. On the other hand, that will play a little bit. It could play into the hands of Costa Rica, who may want to just congest the defense as much as possible and just take their chances with 45 minutes of 0-0.
Because that would be a victory for the Costa Ricans. They leave here with 1 point. They've had a good day.
Without any doubt.
The United States, of course, feeling coming into this match, 3 points would be theirs. They had the atmosphere. They had everyone match fit. Does not look from the look at the back of Eric Winalda, said the way he was sitting there perhaps, and from the medical report that he is not available for substitution duty.
I would doubt it. The good notes are that the U.S. is playing very solid defensively. As you mentioned, the only thing you worry about is a sudden slip on the surface. They look good defensively in midfield. Claudio Reyna playing a good game there without any question. But they need indeed to get more variety in the attack, and they need to get wide, speedy attacks.
Well, we'll see what substitutions could be made in the second half. It's a scoreless match at 0-0.
A pivotal day for U.S. soccer, and Captain John Hart's not able to play, and you've got to be so emotionally wrapped up.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, at the same time, I'm glad that I'm out here, even though my wife doesn't want me. You know, the guys are playing very well. Obviously, we've had some chances. We need to start shooting more, I think. You know, we had Ernie Stewart going through, Roy Lassiter, unlucky, gone through a few times. We just got to keep testing the goalkeeper.
I know you can't believe that you're not playing, but what is it going to take for this U.S. team to get a victory that they need?
Well, I don't think they've been too dangerous, really, Costa Rica coming at us. Obviously, they have a lot of pace up front, but we seem to have contained the game pretty well. We've got most of the ball going forward, and I just think really taking more shots on goal. I think the goalkeeper right now, very nervous. He's dropped one from Claudio Reyna on the free kick, and I just think we got to push the game to him.
You talked about a chance that Ernie Stewart had to shoot, and there's also a problem with the U.S. players seem to be losing their footing.
That's right, yeah. Well, it was a great ball. I believe it was from Tab Ramos. He put the Ernie Stewart through over the top, and you know, Ernie wanted to put the ball on net. I don't think he did, but they're slipping a little bit here, but hopefully they can pick it up second half.
All right, thank you, John Harkes, and good luck to the U.S. team.
Thanks very much, Todd.
Well, he's certainly burning inside, trying to contain his emotions watching his team play today. Thursday at 10:30 Eastern on ESPN2. Major League Soccer action continues. Dallas Burn, San Jose Clash. Ronald Cerritos in action. David Kramer, the San Jose keeper, as the Clash working to move towards a possible playoff for Thursday at 10:30 Eastern. We are back to Portland, scoreless in this qualifier. Stay with us. Portland, Oregon, the venue, a very intimate gathering, a sold-out stadium in the United States and Costa Rica, still looking for their first goal, and the first goal will be increasingly be a larger one, Seamus, as we look towards the second half.
Well, the U.S. did get some early dominance as we look at the keys to victory, and they did effectively prevent the counterattacks. Costa Rica, maybe not as physical as we thought, but they certainly established their presence physically by some good tackling and also by just covering down a lot of spaces. They have not had their speed and counterattacks work to their advantage, primarily because the U.S. has gotten in there and made those good midfield tackles. And this is what I'm talking about. These areas here and over here are where Costa Rica are at their most dangerous, because they play the releases out to them from here and out to there, and that can sprint the counterattack. But Stewart and Agus have been very good at closing down those spaces. The U.S. has got to get into spaces in here and around here. That's where they've shown they're dangerous, so dangerous in the first half, and where they need to do more of it.
Tab Ramos back in the starting lineup today, as we said. 17 touches for Tab, 4 opportunities created off of that. Reyna much more around the ball today, and also much more challenging and going in on challenges and tackles, it seems. Yeah,
he has been very good at trying to win the ball early and start the attack, but he's also been very good at supporting players wide when they've tried to stop the counterattack.
Campos came on as a substitute, 6 touches and 1 good opportunity. Gomez, the number 11 player, very dangerous with 8 touches. No lineup changes either way. We at ABC Sports would like to thank MasterCard, Anheuser-Busch, Canon, Nike, and National Car Rental for bringing you today's match commercial-free. This portion of today's match is brought to you by MasterCard. The U.S. in white, Costa Rica in red. Ernie Stewart flew in to train for this match from the Netherlands. Austin Berry, the left back. There's Campos, Justine Campos, his first half substitute. Ronald Gomez, challenged by Sorber, slips it inside. Balboa touching and Pope clearing. Right on to Dijon, number 8, putting it wide for Costa Rica as they build something here with Wallace, a low ball. Dooley puts it out. Again, you see slipping and sliding. The whistle.
Foul given there for in favor of the United States. Well, Costa Rica, I think, will still do the same thing. Bob, they'll still try to defend and look for a break or two. And the U.S. has got to be patient in some ways. They've got to be sure that they don't let the blood rush to their heads and start taking gambles.
Ty Keogh, with this footing, what adjustments have been made?
Speaking to Hugh O'Malley, the equipment manager for the U.S. team, he said most of the players on the field have changed into the 6 studded boots, so they've made the adjustment. Hopefully it'll improve their footing.
We play on. Reyna on the ball, lifting it wide right for Stewart, a U.S. player down, crossing in front, looking for Wegerle. Roy Lassiter down, getting attention. surprise starter today when Eric Winalda was pulled from the starting lineup about 20 minutes before kickoff.
Well, take a look at the injury here as he battles for the ball, and eventually he looks like he wins it, but then he gets hit just as he's coming away with it from the player who was down on the ground. I think that was Marine. Or no, I'm sorry, it wasn't Marine. It was the number 3 player, Austin Berry. But I'll tell you, Roy Lasser will not want to come out of this game. He desperately wanted to get a start, was crushed when he wasn't getting the start initially, then got a last-minute reprieve, and he was hungry to score, but he's got to be a little bit patient, too.
Wegerle turns the ball. That is deflected out for the corner kick now for the United States. Their 5th. Wegerle called into camp on Thursday, his first appearance for the U.S. team in nearly 2 years. Dooley moves up.
And Pope.
6, and
Pope's wide open.
Headed out. Stewart challenged. Reyna now. Ramos, all sorts of room to the corner, trying to cross it in front, and it's just skittering wide.
Eddie Pope right on the doorstep to get that across, and Wegerle just could not react to it. Look at this ball skimming now. Here's Pope with a quick run, and there's no chance for Wegerle to get to it, and to give Costa Rican defenders credit, 3 of them were there shepherding that ball out of play. But a slightly stronger touch by this guy, Eddie Pope, and that would have been 1-0.
Pope has 3 shots. The U.S. has 7, so Eddie Pope the most shots of any U.S. player today. And he will just lie back quietly and suddenly become lethal. You saw the header attempt on the set piece in the first half.
There goes Jeff Agus again, breaking it up. I must say, I'm just a little puzzled about this tactic from midfield of launching these long balls forward for either Wegerle or Lassiter. They don't strike me the kind of players who could deal well with that.
Gomez with a booming left foot that Dooley deflected. Stewart in the air, couldn't win it. Berry will throw it in to Gomez. Very dangerous player, watched by Pope. And a U.S. throw-in.
One of the hopes for the long ball approach, as we look at Ernie Stewart, Bob, is that, again, Costa Rica will have committed so many players into the midfield that if you go right over the top, you've got a chance to get in behind them. But if they've left too many men back there, then even if you get in behind them, you're outnumbered.
Steve Sampson talking to the 4th official. There are Costa Rican water bottles near the touchline. He wants them moved back. You saw Wegerle lose his footing. Marvelous venue. You can't say the same for this pitch. It looks nice, but if you can't keep your footing, what's the purpose? Offside lead for Medford. They spent $100,000 putting this field down, and I think they've got to do a little bit more work on keeping the moisture out of it.
Bob, you and Seamus were talking a moment ago about the high balls that the U.S. is using, and Steve Sampson stated that he thought one of the keys to the game for the U.S. would be their ability to dominate in the air, but that's not really been the case. The Costa Ricans have been very effective in minimizing the ability of the U.S. team to use their superior height.
Well, throwing now down the left side for Jeff Agus. Now the U.S. team as Reyna moves up into the box and makes a run to show for the ball. There's Wegerle. Won there by Madrigal.
But again, that early release, you see where that ball was played. It was played right into this zone. That's exactly what they try to do in these counters. They hope to get the ball wide, and they start a counterattack from there.
Monday Night Football action. Kansas City and Oakland. Marcus Allen needing less than 300 yards to become the 6th player in history with 12,000 rushing yards. Jeff George at the helm of the Raiders. KC and Oakland. ABC's Monday Night Football. Monday night at 9 Eastern Time. Oh, Sorber from a prone position. Boy, to play it back.
A risky decision by Mike Sorber to dribble across the defense there with little in the way of supporting U.S. players in the immediate area.
Gomez back to Myers, challenged by Reyna and Ramos as Dooley comes up, played wide. This is Wallace, can be a very creative defender on the offensive end. Playing it wide now for Dijen, number 8. He's watched by Dooley. Medford slips. Stewart has it. His footing is definitely a factor in this match.
There's that ongoing battle. Wegerle this time pushed from behind.
Madrigal.
Yep.
Reyna quickly looking for Lassiter.
Yeah, well, I still am not convinced about that tactic. Lassiter has to win that ball in the air. That's not always the best part of his game, in my view. And then he's still got two players in front of him for Costa Rica to beat. Ooh, almost a steal there by Ramos.
Yeah. Austin Berry, number 3, tries the through ball. Tackle away, Dooley getting away from Gomez. Brought down by Lassiter. Reyna with a little bit of space, and now more as he eludes the tackle. Jeff Agus, with 2 mates in the box, back on it now. He's got Reyna wide left and pushed back to Goose. Claudio in the corner, cuts it back to his right foot, right in front. Mauricio right-footed out. Challenged there by Balboa. The whistle and a foul against the U.S.
Well, Balboa, again, we might say with a tactical foul there. Reaching in to try to win it. Might have won it. But what he's chiefly trying to do is to stop counterattacks. He was one-on-one out there, and he could not let that player get away from him.
Steve Sampson talked in our pregame about that killer instinct, about that domination. Right now, we're not seeing that.
No, I think you're right. And you feel the sort of a sense that if the U.S. got the goal, that they might indeed have others flow, because Costa Rica will then have to pull more players out from the back. But at the moment, the finishing is what's letting them down.
Balboa, lots of room. Agus to his left, Ramos to his right. Agus, that's still in, as Berry chases with Stewart.
Well, the flank play is a bit predictable now. You saw Agus. Predictable in that they're getting the ball wide, they're making the runs, but they're not getting penetration into the penalty area very much. It's just long balls across, and that becomes a bit too obvious after a while.
Gomez out of his area. Myers on the ball, number 10. Medford ahead of him, number 9, cutting to the right. Through ball. Onside. Gomez the cross. No, the flag up across the way. The flag across the way.
That was very definitely an offside. The player running through left before the ball was played to him, and when the ball was played through, he had gone past it. You see him now, he's about to get the ball. Here's the ball in here, and look at already, he is behind the defender. You can see very clearly. Now we let it go forward, and here's the other player coming through. There's the touch, and there he has gone through behind it. So there were 2 players there, but the second one was the one that was called, I think, because the first player managed to get out of the play.
Third offside against Costa Rica. Roy Lassiter has both offside infractions for the U.S. This portion of today's match is brought to you commercial-free by Budweiser. Dooley with a left foot for Reyna. He's got Wegerle there with him. It's past Ramos. Wegerle. There's Pope, ever dangerous, right onto Lonis. His 4th shot of the day.
Oh dear, what an unfortunate decision by Pope. Lassiter that time had gotten himself away from his defender, was wide open in front.
The U.S., though, showing some fluidity now, looking to establish that dominance they talked about in what is virtually a must-win game. And look at that control on the ball by Ramos, his trademark. Now the low cross. Challenged by Lassiter in the box, he commits the foul.
Well, that's the kind of play we like to see from Tab Ramos, with the exception of the cross, which was not the kind of quality he wanted, but Lassiter tried to make something of it with a tough challenge. But Tab Ramos did very well, first of all, in intercepting the ball. He stepped up nicely, won it, beat a couple of people nicely, and was not able to put in the cross that would have turned into a goal.
Campos challenged by Sorber and fouled by Sorber. Steve Sampson had talked about making a change. Sorber certainly would not be one of those, but he has yet to do so, as Medford won that, lifted on by Roy Myers wide to the left of Casey Keller.
I don't know about Mike Sorber. I've been watching him the last couple of minutes. And maybe Steve Sampson might have a thought or two about Sorber. He's I don't know, hasn't suddenly been missing a pace or two. You have to make some late tackles. You have to make some fouls. He does a lot of work in that defensive midfield role. It's pretty exhausting.
Another long goal kick by Keller, flicked on by Wegerle to Reyna, who holds it very nicely in heavy traffic and plays it back to Sorber. Now Agus.
Well, the whole Costa Rican team, though, is camping in its own half, just waiting for the U.S. to come into that half. And
wanting
see
a
them,
point.
all those red shirts there.
Playing for the draw. Balboa pushes up. He pushes it to the corner. Reyna now. Wallace on him. In front, looking for Wegerle, put away by Barry, or rather Marine.
Bob and Seamus, that last ball, pretty typical of what has happened for the USA as of late. They've started to find some space in the attack, but the final pass or the final shot, like Eddie Pope a moment ago, and even by like Tab Ramos a moment ago when he got around the corner, the final ball has not been good enough.
Campos takes it back from Stewart, with everyone back defensively for the Ticos. Roy Myers on the ball, tried the through ball to Gomez. Dooley comes forward, makes a commitment, he pushes up. Dooley moves up, Wegerle in the midfield.
What an important play by Dooley there, stepping up. Dooley is still up front. This is Dooley up here, and he's supposed to be a defender.
Well, sometimes a man's got to do what a man's got to do, and the U.S. needs something moving on attack here. Bernie Stewart for Eddie Pope wide. Far post. Goose runs on, touches it, loose in the box. Reyna tried to turn the ball, still loose, and put up and over the top.
Oh, he had a great chance to set up Marcelo Balboa. He had a great chance to set up. Instead, he did the awkward thing, which is to turn and get a shot on goal. Can't blame Reyna. He's expected to shoot on goal. But when you see the ball coming into Reyna here, when he gets to him, right there, here's Reyna winning it, but over here is Balboa, and that's where the ball should have gone.
Medford touches it back. Campos on the ball. Campos tees it up, and it whistles harmlessly wide to the left of Casey Keller. It's been tested once today. Keller having a fantastic season for Leicester City in the English Premiership. He has shut out Manchester United in a scoreless draw. He has shut out powerful, or beaten and shut out powerful Aston Villa this year.
Costa Rica now beginning to show a little bit more in the way of mixing it up, Bob, with sending a couple of more players forward. There are times I've looked out there and they've had 3 players up front. Gomez and Medford and Myers. And that's dangerous for the U.S., particularly if this man starts to go forward.
Reyna taken down and kicked behind the play. He is down, chipped on by Ramos, looking for Dooley in the box. Now Wegerle gathers it back in. Reyna is still down back in his own half of the field. Touched out by Wright. And now there'll be medical attention for Claudio Reyna, who is taken down behind that play as the U.S. moved up on attack. In the 16th minute of the second half here in Portland, Oregon.
Well, Reyna got a nasty whack on the ankle for his troubles, and he looks to be in serious discomfort down there. That is bad news indeed for the U.S. If he can't play. This is Reyna coming back with the ball. He's about to let it go. Now you see the late tackle there with the studs coming in, catching him on the side. That is a nasty one. If you take another look here, he's dribbling across nicely. Dooley releases to get him to get the ball, and over he goes from that very tough challenge. A late tackle. The referee did not call the foul. I can see the referee looking around and saying play on.
Card was shown, actually.
Good.
Guillen did receive a yellow card behind that play, so you've got to give a lot of credit, I would imagine, to the referee's assistant, too, who was trailing that play, helping him out.
Well, the referee did the right thing, which is to let the play low and then go and get the yellow card in.
Tonight at 9 o'clock, 8 Central. There's never been anything like it on television before. Based on the bestseller, ABC News presents Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Find out things that you can do to save your relationships. That's at 9 Eastern and Pacific. So Guillen is shown the card. The first of the match, even though we had a little outbreak of tempers in the second half. Reyna. Will he stay in? U.S. not about to make a substitution. Reyna has arguably been their best player today.
And that is often a reason why a player receives a tackle like that.
Well, he's risen to the challenge of creating and being near the ball, winning balls.
He looks still very, very uncomfortable out there, but play himself into it. He's had 44 touches on the ball today. Clearly, nobody in this field has had the ball more than Reyna on either team.
Now Wegerle back for it. Thomas Dooley assessing his options. Looking for Lassiter to bring it down at the 18. There's Pope running on, but not able to save it.
Bob and Seamus, Costa Rica's been doing a great deal of defending in this half, and I'm starting to detect some signs perhaps of fatigue. It's a very strong sun here, and that's also something for Casey Keller to contend with in the U.S. goal. As the sun gets lower, that could present a problem for him.
That's a good point. That's one thing he doesn't see in England too much. He doesn't worry too much about the sun. It's that clouds and rain that drifts in on you in the fall and the winter.
I wonder if they want to get him a baseball cap. I know in the qualifier in December against Costa Rica, Brad Friedel, who was in the nets for that match, had trouble early on, immediately went to the baseball cap. Ramos. Now Stewart touches it back. Claudio Reyna. Sorber looks down the middle of the attack. Balboa. Jafegus against Wallace with his right foot in front, looking for Lassiter. Pope comes up, still on it, but a whistle and a foul behind the play. Goal against Ramos.
Well, crowd feel that was a little bit of play acting by the player Gomez, and the referee agrees. Tells him to get up. Yeah, you were fouled, but let's cut out the theater.
He has 4 goals in World Cup qualifying for Costa Rica. And he can be, in his own way, a lethal player for the Ticos. Wegerle challenging. Austin Berry. Roy Myers back. Mauricio Wright, number 4. Looking for Medford. Reyna with some pressure from behind. Squares it off right on to Myers, though. Number 8 plays it wide. There's Medford, watched by his shadow today, Balboa. Medford looking inside, picked off by Sorber with a long ball, sends Lassiter wide. Has to come back for it, in space now. Sorber to Lassiter with Wegerle in the box, lays it back for Sorber. The ball just died in the turf and picked up by Campos.
Yeah, it was a poor pass from Lassiter, but a slow, late reaction by Sorber, who's jogging back very slowly. Sorber is really tired.
Also, he had a quadricep problem coming into this match. This portion of today's match brought to you commercial-free by Canon. You got to wonder if some decisions have been made in terms of substitutions for the U.S. Kobe Jones has the practice vest on.
I got to wonder if Sorber is struggling, if it might be time for Martin Vasquez to come in. He plays that position, but they may not want to get Mike Sorber out of there. He's such an important player.
Medford. Myers lays it back. That shot gobbled up by Casey Keller. Guillen from 20-plus yards. Burns has a practice vest on as well. Balboa, Keller, out of trouble, but right back to Guillen, number 8, took that last shot. Ramos. And who'll do something with this? Balboa. That was a foul whistle. Keller on the restart. Reyna on the ball, and a whistle and a foul against the U.S. Ty Keogh.
Claudio Reyna still visibly limping as he tries to get back into position. Mike Burns, the fresh legs and the tackling ability to win balls in midfield may spring some attacks for the USA. So Burns will come on as Reyna will come off. A disappointed Claudio Reyna because the attack for the USA not able to bear fruit as of yet, and he was a key to that.
Well, the chess pieces get moved around a little bit now when you put a defender in, Mike Burns.
Yeah, a bit of a surprise to see Mike Burns coming in to play this position. He has played midfield and defense for the United States and for his club team, New England Revolution. He is going back to right fullback.
Looked like Dooley moved up.
Looked like Dooley moved up, and Eddie Pope moved into the central defense. So the back three for the U.S. now is Burns on the right, Pope in the center, or Pope and Balboa are the other two, and Dooley has moved into midfield.
Agus will drop back on the left side of midfield to a defending position.
And that was one of the reasons why Alexi Lalas was not picked today, was because in the situation where they had to move a player into midfield, they wanted to be Dooley, and Lalas obviously is not the kind of player who can go up and play midfield for them.
Also, Seamus, something that's going on here, a problem for the USA is that Roy Lassiter's been by himself all the time up top. Dooley can get up there and support him in a hurry.
Gomez with a push against Burns and whistled for it. Mike Burns just into the match. It's a tough man to cover one-on-one.
Yeah, Burns, he's really got to get into this game. It's very tough indeed, where everybody's been playing into the flow of it. The best of times it's hard to get into the game, but especially in a game like this where you got talented, quick players coming against you. Costa Rica got to feel that if they're patient, they might steal something here.
Berry. Balboa gets the touch. Back on. The Ticos in red, the USA in white. That spin move by Medford is pat the post-up move, if you will. Wins the foul against Balboa. Free kick Costa Rica.
A bit of an odd decision there. The referee very close to it. Obviously felt Balboa was doing something, but it looked like his opponent was just simply plowing into him from this angle, but maybe not.
Gomez will tee it up. Three Ticos to the right of Casey Keller out by the 18. Medford makes a run now. Left foot rocket whistling wide by Gomez. Well, Costa Rica once again. A draw just peachy keen with them. 1 point, and they have done well for Coach Hernandez Fuertes today. Wegerle gets the touch off the defender Marine. Throw in U.S.
The report on Claudio Reyna's injury, a contusion to his ankle, not a sprain, but his right ankle bruised up on that tackle.
Wegerle takes that from Dooley, moves in, and the foul whistled. And they'll bring it back for the restart. Thomas Dooley moving up to midfield as Reyna came off. Burns went into the match. Michael Burns, captain of the New England Revolution. Thomas Dooley enjoying his career in Major League Soccer, playing very well with the Columbus Crew.
And Roy Wegerle, we just saw there, not simply having the pace and acceleration needed to get through. They may bring in another player for the United States.
Gomez with Burns. Ty Keogh.
Kobe Jones preparing to enter the field for Roy Lassiter. And Jones obviously has exceptional speed, and with the tired defenders for Costa Rica, he could be the one to break through.
Well, if it is Lassiter, once again, not a 90-minute showing for Roy in the national colors. Kobe has that speed, blocked out there by Wegerle.
Well, Lassiter had a couple of good chances and a couple of good near goal where he needed to lay off good quality balls, and it just didn't happen. And another chance or two where he was in a great position to run through and he came in offside.
Tom Ramos wins that ball. Tom Ramos sends it.
Oh,
Lassiter in front. Lonis came out.
Surprising decision by Tab there to cut to his right when all the players were to the left.
Pope cuts that ball outside to Agus, who's up the wing. Thomas Dooley under some pressure. Wegerle with a touch. Costa Rica back on it. 27th minute of the second half. We await our first goal of the match. USA and Costa Rica. Very watched by Ramos. Gomez gets past Sorber without effort. That ball flew to his foot, and finally Burns runs him off. Keller puts it out. Gomez just steamed right past Mike Sorber.
Got past Mike Sorber, but Mike Sorber was covered well behind with Burns and Pope getting into position.
Ramos still on the ball. Play on, says our referee. Ernie Stewart. Now Mike Burns making a run behind him. Michael Burns. Low crossing ball. Mauricio Wright took it right away from Burns, but not able to save it.
Boy, the poor crossing has really murdered the U.S. here today. They've just been their own worst enemies when it's come to quality balls from the right and left side. A terrific run by Burns, but the finish just wasn't there.
Kobe Jones will report on for Lassiter. He's handed him his substitution pass. Jones will come on. Lassiter will come off. You can see the emotion evident in Lassiter, who did not know until 20 minutes before this game that he would be starting. And Preki will also be coming on for Roy Wegerle. So that'll be made perhaps at the next break in action. A double dose of adrenaline for the United States offense. And frankly, they need it right now as Jones comes on.
Well, two totally different players, Preki and Jones. They couldn't be more dissimilar as attacking players. Preki, who loves to cut and do quick 1-2s with people, and has a very lethal left foot. And Jones is just blazing speed down the right side. Nobody ever accused Preki of being that fast. He's getting on.
Well, Steve Sampson has pushed all his chips now out onto the center of the table. Made all three substitutions. Wegerle's out. Burns will throw it in.
You see Dooley trying to get some space at the near post here. This is where Dooley wants to be if they can get the throw to him.
Looking for Dooley for the flick on. And a corner kick.
Well, they did well to get it to him. It's a good throw in by Burns. Now, here's where the U.S. has looked strong.
Preki will take the corner kick now. Dooley goes to his spot on the 6. Eddie Pope moves up as well. They're the first line of attack on a set piece for the U.S. at the 6-yard box.
Now, here's one. And they're out here on the extreme right. You can see not Winalda, which it were.
Kobe Jones.
But Kobe Jones and also Balboa.
Substitution to be made for Costa Rica as Yaphet Soto, number 16, will come on, and Hernan Medford leads. Soto, a player possessing tremendous speed. Medford, a very dangerous player. That young man, who's only 21, beat the U.S. 2 years ago in the 89th minute of a match with his speed. Preki's corner, far post. Balboa tangling with Loniz, and it'll be goal kick.
A little bit of a change of pace there for the U.S. Instead of playing the ball into the 6-yard or to the near post, they went to the far post to that man Balboa, who did well to go up in the air and challenge Loniz, not give him a free catch or a free punch, and in the end claimed it to carry it off his head.
This portion of today's match brought to you commercial-free by Nike. Well, the United States needs 3 points. To get that now basically would need 1 goal because the time frame is compressing. They've made their substitutions. Have offense in mind when they made them. Soto in, Medford out for the Ticos. The nickname for Costa Rica. Now the Yanks on the ball. Ramos. Dooley past him. Still loose though as it's chased down by Maureen. Ahead there by Preki with his positional play, throwing Costa Rica.
Well, with these new players in the game, they've got to get the ball to them. Preki certainly needs to get the ball at his feet because he is so good dribbling, particularly right to left. And Jones has got to get the ball for some speed, either to his feet or to run in behind the defense.
Looping throw in.
They've got to give some credit to the Costa Rican defenders here. They've looked very solid. In the second half, they've been much more cohesive in their defensive play, and they're playing, of course, now with more players at the back.
Agus. Ernie Stewart against Madrigal. Down.
It's got to be a card. He was all over him to begin with, and then when Stewart finally got away from him, he chopped him.
And he's going in the book. Yellow card caution to Alex Madrigal.
Well, Stewart does very well holding the ball here. He's cutting across the player, keeping the ball away from him. But look, he is assaulting him with his arms and pulling his shirt and everything else. But eventually, just he's about to get away, the tackle from the left side that was nowhere near the ball, and hence the yellow card. Again, good decision by referee Nieves.
77th minute. Goose. His far post. Preki. The cross knotted out into Sam's Army.
Boy, Costa Rica just getting away with all kinds of mistakes on these set pieces.
Preki to take the corner. Balboa back post. Looking for Stewart. Gets a touch. He'll chase it down. Now Preki on his patented left foot. Cuts it back to his right with a low cross in front. Balboa plays it back to shot. Ramos. Goal! Return to qualification. Late in the match.
What a shot by Tab Ramos, and what great play by Preki. Preki, who did that fabulous fake and then had to use his right foot, which is not his favorite, but eventually it was laid off to this man, Tab Ramos, and what a comeback for Tab. Look at all the work done down here by Preki, and here's the ball nicely laid back right into the stride. Balboa lays it back, and boom! This thing goes into the bottom corner. A cracking shot by Tab Ramos. Great play again as it's laid back by Balboa unselfishly, and then this tremendous shot through the crowd of players, buried in the bottom corner. Here's the keeper's view, but he has no chance to get to this excellent piece of finishing by Tab Ramos. Welcome back, Tab.
Tabaret. He said, I would sit at home and watch the qualifiers I couldn't play in and feel the frustration because I knew what I was watching would affect my life and my career, but I couldn't do anything about it. Today, he was able to do something about it.
Well, we all said how important he was to come back, and this man Preki, boy, what a great contribution he has made.
Look at that!
And now, cheerleading Coach Sampson to get the team back here, and
substitution for Costa Rica.
The U.S. got to be very composed now. They got about 10 minutes to go, and this is when Costa Rica is going to throw everything at them. So the U.S. will want to try to win the ball and hold on to it as much as possible.
U.S. soccer has waited years to have a venue, to have an atmosphere, and a game of importance all come together like today, and now with a 1-0 lead, and it's not over. Steve Sampson asking for more support from this crowd.
Well, look at this shot. Perfectly placed, bottom into the corner. The keeper may have got a little bit of a touch on it, but great job by Tab Ramos.
Pope tries to clear it. Now the U.S. with the lead, hoping for the 3 points. Ronald Gomez and referee Jose Luis Nieves with words, and Senor Nieves has heard enough. Preki, who had almost fallen out of favor for the national team because of his attitude, and that came around over the summer. He told Steve Sampson, I will play whatever role you ask me to play.
Boy, and he couldn't have played a better role than that one. He is so hungry to play in the World Cup. He grew up in Yugoslavia. He never got a chance to play there. So much competition. Comes to America, finally gets his U.S. citizenship. Now he's going to go to the big show, he hopes. And a game like this, a win like this today will go a long way towards helping him do that.
And the atmosphere, and you saw Steve Sampson waving that towel as Precky's back on the ball. So many times the U.S. would go on the road in qualification to Costa Rica, to Guatemala, to El Salvador, and face hostile crowds simply just like this, rooting their national team on. When the U.S. would play at home, a lot of fans for the visiting team because of the ethnicity of the United States, the melting pot. Well, today, fans of all stripes here, but all rooting for the U.S. It's not over. It's 1-0.
It's not over. They've got to hold their composure and keep possession. And Mike Sorber just gave the ball up there in midfield.
Soto, very dangerous, very speedy young player, back on the ball against Burns. Soto looking to cross. Burns deflects. Won by Jones. Looks to clear.
Goal kick.
As it's deflected out off Victor Badia, who went into the match as a substitute for Austin Berry. Badia, number 13 in red.
And the coach is on the sideline for Costa Rica saying, everybody forward. We don't need to have 4 at the back now. We want to have 3 up front. And they do have 3 up front. Soto is up there, along with Myers and Gomez.
Mauricio Wright gets ahead. There's Badia, number 13. Marine from central defense, given trouble by Sorber.
Well, Sorber did a good job just making them play square. Mike Sorber's got to be exhausted.
Right with a ball. Tangling there, Balboa, and his opposite number, Gomez. Well, Midford out of the match. Balboa, primary man marker now. Free kick, Costa Rica.
Dangerous run by Gomez getting inside. Eddie Pope. Pope made the foul.
Ronald Gomez near the ball. Harold Wallace, number 2, to the right of the ball. Campos trots up, number 14. Will Wallace touch it to Gomez? Will Wallace shoot around the wall? Gomez deflected by the wall. Throw in Costa Rica.
Well, U.S. fans don't care how ugly it is from here on. They just want to see, they'll be happy with 1-0.
Soto, double team. Wallace plays it back. Ticos have pushed everybody up. Wallace deflected. Soto on the ball. Picked up by Agus. Dispossessed by Brecky.
Actually, that was Sorber.
Sorber, rather.
Great job of going over there late in the game as a second defender. And the yellow card to Soto.
Soto said something in the 85th minute, so the third card of the match against Costa Rica. These cards add up. If you get 2 yellows, you must sit out. That's the reason John Harkes is not playing today for the United States.
World Cup games. This is what it's all about. Hanging on 1-0 with 5.5 to go.
Bicycled on. Far post. That's out.
Ooh.
Nice attempt there by Roy Myers.
Tremendous attempt by Roy Myers, and almost caught the U.S. at the far post napping with a couple of players pretty wide open, as we'll see on this replay. This is a great piece of skill, but the danger is on the far side of the goal, as you'll see him flick it over. Look at these players in here. And the U.S. Gets away with one there.
Steve Sampson here on the bench instructing his players, and Brecky in particular, to get the ball into the corners and then maintain some possession and get some more players forward. You can't continue to defend. Eventually, you may break down.
Pope comes through, wins that ball. Goose sends it down to burn some off the clock. This portion of today's match is brought to you commercial-free by National Car Rental. Dooley couldn't win it in the air. Soto. Kobe Jones looking to win it with a second touch. Brecky challenging. Cut in by Badia. Here's Soto slipping on the turf. Burns looking to win the ball and putting it out. 4 minutes plus injury time. Jamaica leading Canada 1-0. Also in CONCACAF qualifying today. That is in the second half in Kingston, Jamaica.
Jamaica, the next opponent for the U.S.
Soto, bad first touch, taken off his foot. Sorber and cleared by Kobe Jones. Steve Sampson, you can see him gesturing. Put it inside. Jones took a shot to the nose, some blood. He's got a pack up the nose.
We got to get into the corners, as he said, and Jones had a chance to do that then, but just mishit it. So tense moments here for the U.S. Costa Rica throwing everything at them.
So if you're new to the game, yes, it's a 45-minute running time half, but the referee adds time at his discretion for any stoppages for injuries along the way and substitutions. We've had a lot of substitutions in the second half and some injuries. Number 8. One on the shot by Campos, deflected. Now his back down. Agus clears it. Controlled by Stewart. U.S. needs to get the ball and hold the ball.
Or else get it really far down into the corners, as you heard Taikio say.
Sorber.
Now's a chance to put it over here to Kobe Jones.
And a whistle behind the play. There was a foul, and so a restart for the U.S.
Costa Rica has come here and battled very hard, hoping to get a point. And with 2.5 minutes to go, that hope not entirely evaporated yet.
This has truly ripened into a marvelous rivalry between these two countries. It's up there with USA-Mexico now. Two worthy opponents. Mutual respect. A little bit of ill will here and there. But great soccer. Agus against Wallace. Pair of backs. Goose pushing up into midfield today. Throw in for Costa Rica. Nope, U.S. Ticos tried to steal that one. Goose sent it into the corner to Stewart. Watched by Madrigal. Being essentially triple team playing for the corner. Ernie, Jeff Agus, still on it. Looks for Stewart.
Well,
Wallace is on it.
Yeah, they tried to put it in the corner. They got it there for 20 seconds.
Precki challenging defensively as Myers sends it over the signage well to the far side over touch. Precki, Predrag Radosavljevic, naturalized U.S. citizen since late last year, now a member of the U.S. national team, and one of the assists today on Tom Ramos' goal.
Well, you see there, 43-45, a minute and a quarter to go. Plus, I think there will be a few minutes added on for some of the injury treatment that was treatment for some of the injured players that was necessary.
Marine challenged by Precki. Fighting for every ball.
Precki's got to fight defensively now, not his normal type of game.
Campos, number 14, gets it past Sorber, slide by Ramos there, and Balboa to Goose. Pair of U.S. players unmarked on the right side. Here comes Precki. He's got Jones coming down the middle. On the far post, he's got Stewart. Precki with a lethal left foot, just whistling wide.
Well, you know that's what Precki loves to do. He loves to motor down the right side, make that little right shoulder, cut inside with the left, and then hammer it for the far corner. He almost scored in his first appearance for the United States. I think it was against Guatemala in that way, and this time he was very close to icing this game. You can see we're just at the 45-minute mark now, so we're about to go into time added on for injury treatment.
So that is known only to our referee, Senor Nieves from Uruguay. Myers still fighting with Precki for the ball. Burns is there, touched in. Padilla on the ball. Kobe Jones wins it, sends it up the wing. Precki sends it inside. Mauricio Wright on the ball, watched by Ramos. Mauricio Wright, lots of space, closed down by Sorber. Little 1-2 at the edge of the area, broken up by Burns. Now Precki does not clear the ball. U.S. having trouble getting it out, and finally a whistle against Costa Rica. Foul against Campos.
Studs up against Campos, coming in tight. Costa Rica unhappy with the referee with some of these calls, but I don't think either side can complain about the quality of the officiating today.
Seamus, the tension palpable here on the bench. Steve Sampson very disappointed in Precki for trying for another goal when really he wanted him to take the ball into the corner and eat up as much of the clock as possible.
Dooley's ball. That's it! 3 points!
you got to win. You simply got to win these home games. And if it takes a 1-0 and then just defending like crazy, that's what the World Cup is all about. They do not come easy. And the U.S. battled and got a classic goal from the best midfield player this country has ever produced, Tab Ramos.
Storybook return to the national side in front of a sellout crowd at Portland Civic Stadium in a match that was labeled must win. And the thank you from these men who rarely have support like this. Well, the United States in the second place now in their qualifying group. They play Jamaica next month. A victory there would get their toe across the English Channel within sight of the French coast, you'd have to say.
Costa Rica now has to go to Jamaica next Sunday. But Costa Rica's in all kinds of problems. But they did well here. Costa Rica deserves a lot of credit for what they were able to accomplish for all but 10 minutes.
These players don't want to leave to savor the victory, the 3 points, the atmosphere, the weather, the moment, and rising to the challenge.
And what a goal, Bob. I mean, so many times the ball is played out like that, you have a great chance to score, and it just doesn't go. But my goodness, Tab Ramos said, oh, this is what I've been waiting 9 months for. And he just let it rip. It was a beautiful goal from beginning to end.
Ty Keogh has a very happy Steve Sampson.
A euphoric mood here in the stadium on the bench. You guys just went crazy.
Euphoria is absolutely a perfect word for it. Boys played great. We controlled the entire match. Great goal by Tab Ramos, created by Preki. I don't even know who laid the ball back to him.
It was Cello.
Cello, what a great ball laid back to him. Tremendous finish. I'm so proud of these guys.
What about the substitutions? Did it really play into it?
Of course it did. You know, I'm so proud of the guys that came on. You know, losing Claudio was a big loss for us. Julie stepping in the midfield did a great job. Burns came in the outside back. Kobe covering the flank. Ernie Stewart going up top and giving us the width and mobility up there.
Preki started the goal.
Preki started the goal. It was just cut back to his right foot, if you can believe that. And the ball laid back, I guess, to Cello, and Cello laid back to Ramos.
The stadium's still here electric. Sam's Army helped you, didn't they?
Sam's Army helped us for the entire city of Portland, and they should be very proud of their efforts. This is a phenomenal crowd.
All the way to France?
Well, look, you know, we're going to enjoy this moment. The Jamaica match is just as important as this one. We win that, we're on our way.
All right, good luck, Steve. Thank you very much. Back up to you, Bob.
What a scene. Well, his coach didn't realize he had the assist, but Marcelo Balboa laid it back to Tom Ramos, the goal that won the match. Casey Keller, the captain today in a homecoming. Preki picks up the assist, and Tom Ramos back in a qualification match for the first time since last November.
Well, there's the cutback, the traditional cutback by Preki, but it goes to his right foot. And now look at this nice soft touch back by Balboa. He lays it right into the stride, and then a 25-yard screamer from Tab Ramos. Tremendous goal.
The U.S. with a victory. We have so much more to tell you about. The team's not leaving. The crowd is not leaving. We've got more from Portland after this message and a word from our ABC stations.